Hello and welcome to one of the most interesting episodes of the JNA Locked It series, because today we are not going to be talking about a residential home. We're not talking about something that, people do consider as a real estate asset lah. I would say mass market Singaporeans. We are talking about a canteen in Mandai that we sold with our commercial team. And it's my great honor, my great privilege. This is Justin's first time in video. So my goal is to make it as fun and as hopefully not as awkward and casual as possible, right? Justin's a very reserved person, but he's a master at what he does, right? So today we have none other than Justin Chua. Justin is actually our commercial lead in the JNA Capital Markets team. Justin, you can say hi.
Hi everyone. Thanks for having me.
No problem. It's our pleasure. So Justin, before we talk about this particular deal, on how we are able to increase the asset yield from 3% to 5%, how we sold a canteen that has been in the market for how long?
Wow, it has been market for about, I would say maybe about 1 year plus.
1 year. You know all the Locked It series, everybody say 1 year plus, and it's true 1 year plus. If you're a seller watching this, right, and your home hasn't been sold for 1 year plus, just find us lah. We make it easier, faster for you. Yeah, but 1 year plus. And before we go into the whole specificity of the commercial deal, how we package it, blah 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 blah, I want to know a little bit more about your background, because I think people are quite curious to know, right? Wait, why are you in commercial? I mean, you don't look like you are 55. You look like maximum lah. 30. No, younger than 30. He looks very young, right? So he's way younger than 30. But just let's talk about it. What's your background?
So I somehow, I've been in real estate for about, I think, 5 years or so. Yeah, but I think somehow I just find myself back doing commercial.
Every single year.
Yeah, I think somehow it just leads me there, I guess. So commercial, there's a few different category of commercial properties.
Yes.
So I do mainly F&B.
Yes.
So I myself, I'm actually a foodie lah.
Yes.
So actually I like to explore this kind of F&B places and options, and see how they operate the places, or how to even like increase the yield of a certain property. So I find myself just going back into F&B properties.
So my question to you is that in this business, right, we're going to talk to Justin like more personally on another session where we interview different parts of the capital markets team and the sales force. But personally, right, when your first deal in a business, was it a commercial deal or residential deal?
It was a commercial deal. Also F&B property.
Where was it?
It's along Chinatown.
And how old were you when you transacted that deal?
I was about 22. 22.
And you were still in university?
Yeah, I was doing real estate part-time.
Yeah, I'm always very impressed because the commercial deal that I did, right, was at Princep. It was a shop house rental.
Yeah.
And commercial is not easy to do, right? And you mentioned that you are always going back to commercial, right? I remember when you first joined JNA, I think that was like 3 years ago, right? You came in, you wanted to do new launches and residential, and then you went back to commercial again. I think it's a calling lah. It's a calling. And I kid you not, right? If you're someone who loves food, just put your contact number somewhere here lah, okay? Justin, right? I will ask him to go and contact you or to let you know what are some of the best food options. He knows Singapore at the back of his hand, and sometimes at night after our long day at work, maybe at like 10 p.m, he'll be like, hey bro, come, let's go and take a look at this coffee shop. So sometimes you think that going to the coffee shop to see, right, is actually to eat some good food, right? But he will bring you through different stalls, tell who is the operator, who is the owner, how much this store is actually rented out for, actually how much this store could have been rented out for. And that passion is something that I think is unbeatable in commercial, right? And okay, great. So I recall last time you also were selling like prawn mee also, right?
Yeah, that was back then doing some part-time F&B.
Yeah. So when did you realize that commercial was actually a very viable investment asset?
I think commercial as a actually it's through meeting different buyers lah. That when we serve this kind of like selling commercial properties, we understand how the buyers think differently in terms of like, ABSD, SSD. These are all very different from residential.
So you don't really have to pay ABSD. There is no SSD. Today I buy a commercial unit from you. I can sell it in the next hour. I can flip it for a profit.
But for industrial, it's also there is SSD.
Yes, for industrial there will be SSD, but no ABSD as well, right? Okay, great. Okay, so many things to talk to Justin about. I think it's like a rare Pokemon because this is Justin's first video, and Justin is usually not appearing in front of video because he's always behind the scenes, handling the deals, handling the clients, talking to owners and blah blah blah, right? So thanks for your time today. Okay, let's talk about this deal. This deal is a canteen in Mandai. Tell us more about this deal.
So this is an industrial canteen, alright? It's at District 25 around the Kranji area, around the Mandai Industrial Estate. So it's a freehold property. It's about 4,047 square feet in size. And it has 7+1.
7+1 means what?
7 store plus 1 drink store.
Okay, great. So let me try to break down the jargons for you all so that it's easier for us to understand. Everybody starts from somewhere. So if you're lost in this video, it's fine. I think it's always good to increase your horizon, expand your horizon if you're a millennial, knowing commercial as an asset. So 7+1, drink store, 7 food stalls. What was the current yield that the owner was having and enjoying?
The current yield, actually the owner enjoyed a very good yield because the owner bought it at a very good price.
How much did she buy it for?
I think she bought it at almost about 2 million.
When was that? Which year?
That was about 2010.
2010. And we sold it in 2022 last year, right? It was 12 years. 2 million.
And she sold for about close to 6.
So she made $4 million in 10 years. So it's like $400,000 per year.
But you still haven't factored in all the rental that she has been collecting.
So what was the rental yield at $2 million?
The rental yield at $2 million, I think it's almost close to about 10%.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she fully paid her property, right?
Yeah, she bought it full cash.
So how much was the rental per year?
The rental at the point when we transact was about 16.5K per month.
So on average in the 10 years, I would think that the average rental was about 13,000, 14,000. Thinking of the increase in rental. So $14,000 times 12, that amounts to $168,000 a year. 10 years is 1.68 million plus $4 million, that's 5.68 million. Of pure profits. Not accounting for the $2 million that she put in as well.
Interesting, right?
Very interesting. And I remember the owner is this so cute, so harmless, so humble, Amma, that we have a lot of meals with together as well. Wow. And that's just one of her few properties right? So tell us more. How long was this deal in the market? What was the main challenge of this deal? And we can go a little deeper into the valuation. And later on, we talk about how we actually sold it off.
So actually, this deal was in the market for about 1.5 years. I think at that point was during COVID. So market was challenging, especially, it's hard to arrange viewings and all. So the owner initially wanted a price of 7 million actually.
What was the valuation?
The valuation, okay, at that time when we can get with those bankers, commercial bankers, I think the max you could get was 5. So the owner wanted 7. I mean, because the owner, kinds of know the market. And she wanted a high price so that she has some room for negotiation.
Was I right to say that she knew that there was a lack of freehold canteens in the market?
Yeah, definitely.
And she knew the upside potential of that property. And because she had many properties with many fully paid properties with much rental, to her selling or not selling is okay. So why do you take up this deal?
So, the reason why I took up this deal is because actually it's a kind of real estate that I like, F&B. And then, I was given the opportunity, right, to market such a property, seeing how the process of going through an industrial canteen, because usually, it's more on the coffee shop and F&B shop side. So I decided to take up the challenge and try to do something different in industrial canteen, because industrial canteen is slightly less sought after because it's very different from HDB coffee shops, right? Because of the footfall,
the human traffic,
and the business hours. Because a coffee shop you can do
every day,
24/7
till night. In canteen you have to open during during the lunchtime. Weekends you're usually not open. I see.
So it's quite a different kind of F&B property.
I see. So I will hear that one of the challenges that you faced was high valuation. Yeah. 5 million asking for 7. And the difference is just that if you're someone who wants to buy, you have to do a cash over valuation of $2 million.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What else? What other challenges you face?
I mean, even at the listing price, you're already scared of most of the buyers already. Because, why will you pay 7 million for a canteen when you can get a coffee shop?
That's right. And not only that, I think most commercial buyers also understand the inventory in the market.
Yeah.
They are fed inventory every single day. So, they will know whether to go buy or not.
Correct.
So in the end, it was sold, right? So let's talk about how we sell it eventually. So what other challenges did we face?
I think mainly was the asking price as well as the valuation.
Yeah.
Right. That really like scares away most of the buyer. Even you manage to bring them down for a viewing, they'll ask you what's the valuation.
Yeah.
And you tell them 5 and asking 7. Yeah. It scares most of them away already.
I hear.
Yeah. So it's really how do we then repackage it such that, they'll be able to further see the further potential of the property, right?
Yes.
And see how that we can be able to close up the gaps between the valuation as well as the price that we sold.
So if you stay till the end of this video, right, you're going to see how we repackage a commercial deal with our proposal. And we're going to show hands and we're going to show you how we made this deal something that is even ourselves, we wanted to buy it. Yeah?
Yeah.
We were like talking, should we join invest in this deal? We called almost every of our closest friends here. This is a super damn good deal. You don't even have to pay a single cent of the mortgage. You even earn cash, pocket money every single month, right? Maybe down payment a little bit more. We'll show you that later on. Okay, so let's talk. What is the profile of buyer who bought it eventually?
So the profile of the buyer that bought it was actually an investor. So
local.
He's a local buyer. Yeah. So he usually goes for the shop house to enhance the property and then, hold it for a few years.
It was a very unassuming buyer.
Yeah.
I
mean, I think
even he told us that he's not he was like, you know what? I'm not a scammer. If you think I'm a scammer, I'm not a scammer. We met him like for negotiation 11:30 p.m. or like 12 p.m. at some coffee shop that was closed, right?
Yeah.
We had Milo. We had like 5 minutes of Milo.
Yeah, 5 minutes. I would say he's a low profile buyer.
Super low profile.
That he didn't even use his real name when he initially acquired the deal.
Yeah.
So,
and we found out his real name eventually.
Yeah, we managed to.
And we called his real name and then he was like, how do you even know my real name?
Yeah, I mean, this is all the DVD that we have to
to do and run through.
Do before we conclude the deal.
Yeah.
So I'll say like, how do we then navigate ourselves through this deal is really the different approach, right?
Yes.
As well as to be able to, liaise ourselves with more of the expert in this industry, right?
Yeah.
So that we're able to close up the gaps and the proposal like you mentioned.
Okay. So let's firstly talk about how firstly it's overvalued, right? So let's talk about how we actually close up the gap, right? So firstly, I believe we talked to some of the top valuers in the commercial market. And how was it like?
So, initially valuation was 5, asking was 7. So, wow, we actually checked with countless of banks that actually even give me lower than 5.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, this can't be, because it's quite, industrial canteen is quite similar to coffee shop.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that if a coffee shop can be able to transact at that price, the canteen can't do much worse.
Yes.
Yeah. So we managed to find some of the top few valuers that does F&B property.
Yeah.
And they managed to come out valuation like closer to maybe about 5.5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that
which was still under what the owner was asking for.
Yes.
And it was very hard for us to explain to buyers that, hey, it's still $1.7 million above valuation that the top commercial valuers were giving us already.
Yeah.
Right? So part 2. How then did we repackage the entire deal? Okay, so what's going to happen is that I'm going to show you all the slide that's happening over here. And Justin, as we look through, I think it's going to bring you back a lot of memories of the nights that we spent doing this. All credit goes to Justin for coming up with the entire idea of increasing the yield. And that came from the obsession of talking to relevant stakeholders, experts in their field on what is actually approved and what is actually going to be allowed, right? We talked to operators, we talked to contractors, we talked to drink store owners, we talked to Thai fund owners to see what's the rental that you're paying for.
Yep.
We did a huge market survey. After that, we even beta tested the idea at one of the talks that we had at one of the, you remember, at the shop house at Duxton? I'm going to say what company that is. And then we were showing them an example of a canteen investment. We tested the idea. They were like, wow, this makes sense. But unfortunately, some of them, they don't have the money to do that. So let's take a look at the current layout here, right? So looking at it over here, if you can't see it, oh no, here's the, okay, here, yeah. So this was the current layout of the canteen, right? If you want to talk about anything, you can share with us. What was like some potential that you saw when you first saw this particular layout?
Wow, so actually this floor plan is like is kind of like hand-drawn based on the actual floor plan.
Yes.
Because the actual floor plan, you have all the different pipings that run underneath, the exhaust and all.
Yeah.
So this is the more simplified one that we actually, came up with.
Yes.
All right. Just based on the bare floor plan.
Okay, so when you first saw this floor plan, right? Okay, because I remember there were a couple of investors we met. We met at least 3, I think.
Yep.
One of them was a laundromat owner.
Yeah.
One of them was a lady who was representing a fund, I believe, right? Institutional investor. And we met her with a very quick coffee. She gave us an offer. We said, we don't have to waste time. The offer is too low. And we walked away.
Yeah.
And we're like, we're so close, but we didn't get it. And we expected her to come back at the end. But then suddenly this particular buyer who we love, okay? His name, no, I'm just kidding. We love, he's working with us very closely. And still working with us, and he bought it in the end. So when you first saw this layout, right, what was the first thing that you thought about?
Actually, when I first see this layout, of course, what I'll think about is how do we then, maximize what we can do with the space that we have.
Yeah.
And, what is the best case, what's the worst case, and what happens if everything stays the same.
And traditionally, a lot of the agents in the commercial side, what they will do is they'll sell the plan as it is. So, and that's the reason why a lot of commercial agents are facing problem offloading these things. Because it's always like, this is the floor plan, this is how much it's going to be, how much it's going to cost if you're going to redo some stuff. There is not much plan that we're going to give you, but this is the rental, take it or leave it, right? But what you did, the first thing you thought of was, hey, how can I increase the yield? How can I increase the number of stores?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, let's go on. I think this brings you some memories. This was the currency details that we did up for them.
Yeah.
So what about this? What was the idea behind doing this?
So this was to show them that even if you were to buy SCDs, right, you still be able to enjoy at about a 3% rental yield.
Yeah.
So at that time, of course, a 3% rental yield is attractive because interest rate then was just like 1% odd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, not today.
No more.
But yeah, so this is just to show them about the tenancy details as well as what are the yields that they can enjoy potentially, and as well as some of the a bit of the profile of the tenant and the subtenant in this
area, right?
Yeah.
And one thing that I realized is that our yield, we actually placed it at 6.5 million. Eventually, it was closed at 5.8, which was 5.9 million, which was still $900,000 above the valuation, which is at 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 3%, and it packaged it as like a not too bad compared to some residential counterparts, right?
Yeah.
And we even got the potential buyers to meet the operator sometimes to show that, he's a reliable one, credible, been here for 12 years.
Yep.
And it was a little, I'm not going to kid, it's a little tense, right? Because the operator is like, who is this new owner?
Yeah.
Right? Our current owner has been giving us a really good rental. Who is this owner who may be renewing my rental and giving me a higher rental? And so we had to assuage everybody's questions, doubts, and fears and everything like this, right? And it took us some coffee sessions there to get to know the operator a little bit more better.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be able to
build the rapport.
Build the rapport and relationship.
And this is also the reason why I believe that real estate agents will never be able to replace by AI. Good ones. How can AI go and build a rapport and trust? Will you go there like coffee, drink?
Maybe they can make the coffee.
They can make the coffee for us. Then we enjoy the coffee, wait for the operator to come, find opportunity to talk to him. Sometimes it was a bit guarded. And then we even went there to take photos of the crowd, remember?
Yeah.
That's what we did. Yeah. So this was a potential proposal that we have. Justin, maybe you can bring us through what was proposed, and stuff like that, yeah?
So of course we came out with the best case, the worst case, and what happened if all stays the same.
Yeah.
So in this first one, what we did was to actually, propose to increase the number of stores because, SFA have different regulation of store size throughout the years.
For those who don't know what SFA is, what's SFA? What does SFA stand for?
Singapore Food Agency.
Okay,
so previously was NEA and then they merged.
Yep.
Right. So so actually the actual food store size they did some tweak in it so that they reduced the size so that actually even with the same space you might be able to play with the area.
Yes.
And come up with more stalls.
Yes.
So coming out with more stalls and keeping the existing sitting area the same because actually sitting area is also very important.
Yes.
In an F&B shop.
Yes.
Because you need to serve the customers.
Correct. And you need to have enough capacity so that more people can actually spend more money in the food stores. Right?
Yeah. So by increasing the stalls and keeping the sitting area the same, right? We explore the options of how we can increase the rental. Yeah. So from the current tenancy of 16, we can actually potentially increase to about 37 if you self-operate it.
Yeah. And initially the rental was like 16.
Yeah, 16 to operator.
And you increased it to $37,000.
Yeah, potentially.
Right? And it also took us the effort to get to know not just the operator, the owner, the potential buyer, but also store by store. remember we made great friends with the 猪杂汤 uncle. There was a 猪杂汤 uncle there, right?
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, so 可以问一下你的 rental 是多少吗?
Yeah.
It was not easy, you know, and that's why you see what Justin wrote there is like each store is rented at 3,000, assuming store 5 was currently rented at 4,000, mixed veggie rented at 9,000, and so increase the number of stores, right? Great. What about next? Like reduce stores, adding minimart.
Okay, so the next one is because can
I just say something first before you carry on? From a perspective of someone who may not know commercial asset, or like maybe I'm not in real estate example, and I maybe it's the first time saying this, I'll be like thinking like, are you putting Sims like at minimart, reduce stores, and this is real world investment increasing of yield. Yeah.
So actually, the idea of minimart comes from engaging with different buyers, right? Different profiles. So I came to understand that actually at that area you also have actually 2 dormitories, right, in the area that puts minimart as quite attractive.
A place for shopping.
Yeah.
For most of the workers there.
Yeah.
And were there any minimarts nearby?
There were 1 or 2 smaller ones.
And you saw that it was doing well?
They were doing quite well.
Yeah.
I mean, you can even sell like the top-up prepaid card.
Prepaid card, yes.
Yeah, you're right, for them to top up their phones. Yeah. So there's a lot of potential to do in for minimart, as well as actually the buyer himself also
operates a minimart.
Operates some minimart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is actually just a different idea so that he has something that he is comfortable with.
Yeah.
Right. Some kind of operation that he's already comfortable with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think one thing for a commercial broker to be able to advise you or to help represent a seller even better requires something that a lot of agents don't have. No matter what agencies they are from, no matter what commercial brands they are from, it's the walking on the ground. You're not going to be able to know whether how many workers are topping up the prepaid card in a particular minimart. You're not going to know whether the minimarts are doing well if you're just on your computers. Yeah. And I think that's the difference between JNA Capital Markets commercial team and the rest. Maybe because we're still young, we got the energy to walk around. Maybe a bit older, we may not have. So you got to catch us at the right time, right? To sell you need a good price. But I love this, right? And adding a minimart there, and we even checked the viability of the competitors. Yep. We knew that there was a possibility that a minimart could be there. And the owner was sharing with us that, per minimart, he can make 5-figure, no problem, profits, right? So we excluded the minimart profits.
Yep.
And how much was the minimart profits then that he was mentioning? 30, right? Was it 30 plus?
30%.
30%, right?
Yeah.
So 30%, and I think one of his smaller minimarts was making him like 20 to 30k per month.
Yep.
So if you add 20 to 30k per month to the total rental collected, it's going to be about like $52,000, right? Compared to the previous proposal, with him not doing anything or operating, is about $37,000. And $52,000, let's say we talk about $50,000 per month times 12, that's 600k. For $6 million property, it already reaches 10% yield, right? And that's how valuation of the commercial asset can then go up.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, great. What about next one?
So next we did a worst case scenario where we
just as it is.
Yeah. So no, just as it is is the next one.
Yeah.
So what we did was to actually in fact decrease the number of stores so that we can increase the seating capacity.
Yeah.
Right. Ultimately, we want more footfall to the place. So even if we were to decrease the store, the rental that we collect is about 25k. It is quite a good rental yield, even at 6.5 million.
I was wondering, if you were to reduce number of stores, would it mean that the rental collected by the owner will be lesser?
Yeah, it will be definitely lesser.
So what's your perspective? Why do you propose decreasing the number of stores?
Because we want to increase the seating capacity so as to actually bring in more crowd instead of instead of focusing on the number of stores. Because with more crowd, if your storeholder does better, naturally your rental will
and you can increase rental eventually.
Yeah.
Okay, understand. So what about the next point? About number of stores remaining the same?
Yeah, so this will be as it is status.
Yeah.
Right, where we just take the number of stores as the property as it is, the current layout as it is, and we try to calculate what is the future rental that the owners
are willing to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the store operators are willing to pay.
Yeah. At the market when the market catch up. Because
this is not a very nice conversation to have with the store owners. Like, hey,
it's difficult, especially during COVID, right? Yeah. So this is a projection of maybe about 2 years.
Yeah.
Right, when the market starts to pick up, and where the crowd starts to come back.
Yeah.
So this is all being very conservative. 19 about 22k as a operator.
Yeah. And I think one thing that we did really well, I would say you, when preparing this proposal, did really well was that you didn't give the best case only. And even you gave the best case wasn't like a airy best case. It was a best case that could have been done. It's whether the owners want to do it or not. And we went all the way down to remaining the same. And, you know, with that kind of logical, airtight case, right, that, you know, buying this property allows you, worst case scenario is like that. Not too bad. Best case scenario is really super good. And you can get it, it's approved, you can do it as well. This gives the buyers that assurance. At the start of your session just now with us, you mentioned one thing. You said that a lot of buyers, they are shopping around and buying an investment unit like this, right? It is not a need, it's a want. It's just making more money. And, you know, a lot of the major objections that people will face or commercial agents will face, owners will face will be like, no, the yield is not as good. Simple, number one. Or number two, it's been in the market for a long time. I want it to be a cheaper price. But no one actually starts thinking about, I would say very little people start thinking about how then do I increase the yield? How then I bring out more value for the buyers so that when the objection comes, the team is ready to attack and ready to defend. And this takes hard work. No hard work means long kong lah, people say, you know, anyhow say, like, it's also very bad, you know, because anyhow say, right, you can get sued one. But here in commercial, a lot of duty has to be done, right? So, I'm seeing this recent news about F&B, and this is something that you did talk about a little bit when we were selling this commercial, this canteen as well, industry canteen. Tell us more.
So apart from, you know, letting them visualize the potential, because you need the buyer to be able to visualize, right, what can be done with the property. Also, we also share with them what are the recent transactions that happened. So just nice, you know, at that point when we were marketing, there was the two big deals that actually
happened, right?
Happened in
your friendly neighborhood. $1.50 copy. The Yishun coffee shop sold at 40 million. The Tampines copy that you have at $1.30 is $41 million sold.
So we actually use this news to share with buyers that look, 99 years, you know, leasehold property is going at about 9,000 per square feet.
PSF,
even the other one at Tampines is going about 6,000. So much less they are leasehold. Right. Although yes, they do have good traffic. But ours is freehold. Right. So what we did was to actually share with them what's happening on the ground. Especially that we have some buyers that, you know, they don't come from the F&B background.
Agree. And that gave them the context as to justify why they have to pay at a higher PSF, right? This is the last slide we're showing, but I just want to talk about this. So we branded the entire proposal, we repackaged the entire listing, and that made the sale super easy, right? But the negotiation process was long drawn. When did this buyer view this listing initially?
So this, the buyer that transacted initially viewed in May.
When was it closed?
It was closed in late July.
That's about 2.5 months, right? 3 months lah. So the owner wanted 7 million. There was just calls that we have with the owners, and it was like, can I 6.8, can I 7 lah? And never mind, I think the market is doing very well, 7.5 lah. Every week was a different pricing, right? And how did the owner actually reduce the price from 7.2, which 7 million, I would say, to a closing of 5.8 eventually, which she was so happy. I know she was so happy, right? She was like, give me the cash order, I want to pack it in, I'm so happy.
So actually the rationale of why the owner wanted 7 is just for room for negotiation. I think maybe they are slightly older. They believe, you know, you always just list it at a high price. And then, you know, you want to negotiate, no problem. All right, I got lots of room for you to negotiate. But actually, listing at a high price does scare away most of the buyers.
It did actually.
But in fact, actually 6 million, 5.9 was actually something that she was really happy with.
Yes. And what was one thing that you learned from this commercial negotiation?
Wow, many things, I think. But one thing that I really took back was to follow up closely with the buyers and the seller, right? Because following up with the sellers help you build relationship, right? So that you know it's not 7 million, it's actually, you know, 6 million, 5.9 is something she's happy with. And following up with the buyers, I feel is really important. From the viewing in May to closing in end July to August, you know, following up is key lah. If you don't follow up with him, you might just lose him. You might just buy something else.
And you know, unlike a residential home, right? Commercial property is all about yield. It's not about your feelings or emotions, right? And great. Okay, thank you so much for being on this show with us. Any last things that you want to talk about this deal?
Any last things?
So as Justin is thinking about some of the last words you want to share with us, right? I just want to let us know that in the JNA Capital Markets team, right, there are 3 different arms. Number 1, that will be the commercial team that Justin himself is leading, right? Recently, we just did a medical suite sale, blockbuster after 1 year or so.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of patience to be in commercial, by the way. Number 2, we have the buy side residential team that helps clients acquire with objectivity what are the best deals in the market to buy, right? Not representing sellers. And we also have a listing team for offloading of sellers' listings, right? The capital markets team work in a way that we are just like this personal concierge for the ultra high net worth clients, right? And it all started with this particular client who tells us like, yes, you have done a good deal for my residential home. Do you do commercial? And JNA never expected that we would go into commercial until we met Justin. And Justin felt that he is like called to do it. He loved it. He's very patient about it. So tell us more, Justin. What are some of the last words that you want to share? About this deal or commercial in general?
I would say dealing with commercial in general, definitely, first you get to know what are the potential, coming out with proposals like that do help.
Yeah.
Right. So after coming out with proposals like that, we have three interested buyers that actually offered from 5.5 and then we managed to close at 5.9. Right. So it's really showing them allowing them to visualize the potential and most importantly to follow up with them right, time to time.
And I think one thing that you also did tell me as we journeyed through this entire deal was that, after doing up the proposal, this proposal, it was an all-nighter. Remember? Where, Tech Park, our previous office, we did this proposal until like 5 a.m. the next morning. And after it, we're like, wow, hey, this is a good deal there, right?
Yeah.
And that gave us the conviction to hold firm on the pricing. Great job, Justin. Thank you for being on this show. Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this episode of the JNA Locked It series. Oh, I almost forgot what this series is about because we had so much conversation about commercial, right? We are going to be interviewing Justin one day so that you can peel the onion and understand what's inside. But anyways, this is Jervis.
This is Justin.
And thank you so much for watching this episode of JNA.
I don't know why
you guys is always like that. And thank you so much for watching this episode of the Locked It series. We'll catch you and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.